question, and it will be addressed to Mr. Knopf. What do you plan to do to deal with future flooding in Findlay? Have you attended any of the community meetings regarding flooding?
I have not yet been able to attend any meetings during the day as I work up in Bowling Green, but I have been keeping apprised of what's being discussed in those meetings as it's being reported in the Courier. What I would do, for the future to plan ahead, I think it's important that the city take the steps necessary to start saving money now for whatever solution is being proposed to us by the Army Corps of Engineers once they get done studying our flooding issue. Personally, for me, I think it's better that we be proactive instead of reactive when it comes to the flooding situation.
Thank you. Mr. Sehnert, the same question. What do you plan to do to deal with future flooding in Findlay?
Well, I believe that it's very important that I work closely with the state and federal representatives to cut through red tape, to get the funding needed to get the comprehensive study from the Army Corps of Engineers started. And I believe that we need to set up some programs, a leadership. We need to get the community involved for leadership. I know Grand Forks, North Dakota had a tremendous flood in 1997. We can learn from that community on some of the things they did. The biggest thing that they did was to involve the community in the redevelopment of their programs. So I believe we need to get leadership, teams made up of ordinary citizens to be involved with the elected officials. And I also believe that we need to get a flood plan in order to keep those leadership teams on track, on course. We need to involve our nonprofits. If you saw today, there's a long-term recovery teams, committees that will come in and help people with flood disaster assistance. They might have got the money from FEMA to work on their house, but they don't have the actual physical money to pay for those repairs. There are volunteers out there. I work for the Agency on Aging. I've been in a lot of homes, flood disaster homes, and there is help out there, and there's a lot of volunteers that are willing to help, and I think we need to use our volunteers to help us get over this. Thank you.
Our next question will be posed first to Mr. Sehnert. Some people have argued that the continuing development, both business and residential, of the Findlay area has been at least a partial cause of this year's floods. Do you believe this is a valid criticism? Do you think development is good for the city? And as mayor, would you actively pursue new business and residential developments for Findlay?
Well, I'll start with the last part first. I think that development is always good for the city. It creates the tax dollars. It generates the tax money that we need to operate the city and give the services, the great services that we give all the time. Development may contribute a little bit to some of the flooding, but there's several factors. There's numerous factors. Narrowing of the river at places, the amount of water that falls. I mean, we can't control that. Farmers no-till anymore, and the water doesn't soak in, it runs off faster. So there's numerous things that contribute to flooding, and I think that we have to look at all those, get the study from the Army Corps of Engineers, and proceed with what their recommendations are.
And Mr. Knopf, is past development a valid criticism as a reason for some of the flooding? Is development good for the city, and how would you actively pursue new business and residential development if indeed you would?
Well, I most certainly do believe that some of the development that's taken place in the past 5-10 years has contributed to some of the flooding issues that we have experienced recently. There have been questionable developments gone up around town, both retail and residential. that I feel, at least, that has contributed to that. I think economic development is important, you know, expanding retail opportunities, housing opportunities. What I would like to see, though, is the city to be smart about it, not building in the floodplain, building, you know, outside of where the river normally tends to overflow. There's plenty of areas around town, though, that can be developed that probably haven't even been considered for development as of yet. So if elected mayor, I'd like to look at those areas in which to expand into.
Our next question goes to Mr. Knopf first. It's a question that was submitted by one of our online readers. What have you done to reach out to the business community? Have you met with business people to learn about the needs of local companies, the economy, and local jobs?
No, I've not contacted, or I've not reached out to any business owners per se. I've concentrated more on residential neighborhoods and finding out what exactly the people want instead of what businesses want.
What have you done to reach out to the business community? Have you met with business people to learn about the needs of the local companies, the economy, and local jobs?
Yes, I've met with various groups through the community the last few months. I've gone to a technologies meeting and learned about some of the technology that's available to our city. I've talked to the realtors. I've gone downtown and talked to business owners downtown that were affected by the flood to see what they were doing in their own for flood mitigation. I've talked to people from the Greater Findlay Inc. About various government projects, and I believe that I've been out working with the Agency on Aging, as I said before, into the homes that were flood damaged, and I've seen some of the devastation there, and I've been to I went to an open house at a local factory that had technologies and saw what they had to offer. It was very interesting. So I have been out in the community talking with people and talking to business people.